Hello, everyone, and welcome to the showdown between the Elves, who are going to be led by Alariel the Pigeon Queen, and the Greenskins, who are going to be led by Wurzog the Great Green Baconator. So yes, guys, we are back with the dreaded double pigeon build. Up in the skies, we do have Alariel, the Ever Queen, or the Radiant, or whatever the hell she's called. I'm so used to calling like certain characters by their like joke names that I actually forget their their names in game. But anyway, she's the most competitive pick against the Greenskins by far because she has Arcane and Forging, number one, which is a spell. It does direct damage, and it's really good against characters like Wurzog. You cast it on them, it adds 30 seconds cooldowns to all of their spells and abilities. So that includes the Wa. It's going to bring them down to like 60 or 70%. And when Greenskin Lords start to get a little bit beat up, it's definitely scary for the faction as a whole. But more importantly, they can't cast the wall until like the mid game, which is a very, very powerful effect. However, most Greenskin players are getting pretty used to this, and they have some pretty good countermeasures in place. So what typically happens is that you charge in, Wurzog is going to cast FG if they get on you right away. You're going to get hit with double missile attacks from Wurzog and a Night Goblin Shaman, and they can almost one-shot your Lord. So it's kind of a bit of a sacrifice. Is it worth it to shut down the Wa to just, or to shut down the Wa at the cost of like 75% of your health? Well, I still think so, especially since the Pigeon Queen has some pretty good healing, but it's definitely a lot scarier now that people have adapted to that. Because in the beginning, like people just would get slapped with Arcane and Forging and they wouldn't retaliate and you'd be in pretty good shape. So we got Alariel here. She's going to be doing her thing. She does have her heals, Earthblood, as well as the Star of Averlorn. Very good stuff in general. If you're using any sort of cav or even White Lion, Sword Masters, it's going to be very, very good. Top of that, we do have the Flamespire Phoenix, and this guy's pretty fun. The bombardments do decent damage against some of the lightly armored targets. I don't recall it being terribly effective against like Black Orcs, but in the back line, if you see the Rusty Errors and Savage Orc Arrow Boys and things like that, and even Goblins, it can really tear them apart pretty badly. And it's a free ability, right? It's just kind of a little bit micro-intensive. It can be a bit of a micro-trap. I've seen people on streams and tournaments like just focusing on the Flamespire Phoenix and letting other areas of the battlefield slip, but I still think it's really good. More importantly, though, this bad boy does have a rebirth ability, so if he gets killed really quickly and goes down, he's going to be able to potentially come back to life, and that can just be so devastating. If the Greenskins invest a lot in it, they focus fire it, they're using spells and magic and cycle charging, and then it just like pops back with almost full health, it can be pretty damn nasty for sure. So I like him, causes terror, good armor piercing, helps against the Black Orcs, definitely no joke. For the main army, we have two spearmen in the very front. So you can see my formation here. The spearmen are going to be like up here, taking the initial charge. So I'm going to charge them into the Black Orcs and whatever else comes their way and just let them kind of, take that initial beating with the Wa, with or without it. And then from there, I send in the White Lions. So I have 3 White Lions in total and 1 Swordmaster of Hoth in the back. So Swordmasters can do really well against Black Orcs if they don't take the charge. If the Black Orcs are kind of static and fighting something else, and then you charge in with the Swordmasters, you can get huge value and chop them down very, very quickly. So I really like having at least one of these guys, but in reserve, not in the front line. Top of that, we got 2 archers. Archers are just there to kill like Rusty Errors and counter skirmish. If they have Morgums, Magi Marauders, and other troops like that, the archers are a very, very good choice. We got 2 silver helms with shields. I got the shields just in case I'm going against enemy skirmishers. So again, Morgums, Magi Marauders, Death's Creepers, all those annoying spider cav. I wanted to have the shields just in case these guys get focus fired, but I use them actually defensively. So I kind of keep them in the back line. Once the fighting starts, I go up and around the flanks. I collapse the flanks and then I go inward. Or if he's trying to harass my back line with any sort of mobile greenskin unit, I just use the silver helms to protect my archers and then charge right up the pipe. Pretty good stuff there from those guys. Over here in the forest, we do also have 2 groups of Valyrian Reavers. So one here and then one on the other side of the map. These guys are great. They're one of the best skirmish cav units in the game. Very good against greenskin skirmishers. They can beat the Spider Riders. They can beat a lot of the different tools the greenskins can throw at you. And even if they do use like Orc Boar Boys, and this is the battle's actually about to get started, so even if they're going to use like Orc Boar Boy Biggins, the Reavers put up a pretty good fight. Their stats are very solid for skirmisher cav. And for my opponent's army, you can see right out of the gates here, he's getting a little bit wild. So I come in, I cast Arcane and Forging on Wurzog. Obviously wanted to shut down the Wa and slow the Greenskins roll a little bit. But he's going to retaliate with an effigy, which in itself does okay damage. But yeah, we're going to get that off. So that's going to be really good. But he's coming over with his Morgums, Magi Marauders. And his Goblin Shaman, I believe, is nearby. And he's getting ready to cast some sort of a missile attack. You can see the first one's coming off from Wurzog here. But for his army, he's got Black Orcs in the front line. Pretty good. They beat White Lions pretty handily. So we need to kind of slow them down with the Spearmen, follow up with the White Lions, potentially deal with them. He's got Goblins on the flanks, a couple groups of Orc Arrow Boys, Savage Orc Arrow Boys, which do have better armor piercing than Goblins. He does have Orc Biggins in the back, 4 or 3 groups of Forest Goblin Spider Riders, which are a very good battlefield control unit. If like a big unit like Alariel or, for example, the Flamespire Phoenix lands, he's able to surround them with these guys and really pin them in place with the poison. And I think that's pretty much it. He has a couple Skirmisher Cav, Night Goblin Shaman, and Wurzog combo is really popular and very powerful. It's something like the past like 2 or 3 months I've seen it. Before that, I didn't really see it terribly often, but yeah, it's going to be nasty, though. That's a lot of Black Orcs and heavy infantry with Biggins and reserves. So the missile attack's coming in, and look at the damage that Alariel takes. I mean, I was pretty happy about getting that off, but then I was like, wait a second, Alariel's dead? What's happening here? So I fall back, I'm going to be using an Earthblood right away, and then from there I will have to use a Heart of Averlorn. So yes, I slow down the Wa, but I also waste an Earthblood. My character nearly dies, and then from there I'm going to be having to use a Heart of Avalorn on just her. I have nothing else to heal, but I can't afford to wait, because if I wait, he's just going to shoot me with missile attacks in the next like 30 seconds or so. Not from Warzog, but the Goblin, and that could potentially put me to the point of breaking or running off the battlefield, which I do not want. So a little bit of scary stuff right out of the gates. And I'm glad, though. I'm glad the Greenskins have found a way to retaliate against the Arcane and Forging, and it definitely works out pretty damn well. So the main battle's about to be underway. The Black Orcs are going to be moving through the Gulch here. White Lions and Spearmen are going to be moving forward to meet them. And in the meantime, Reavers coming up and around the back of the formation. You can see they're going to be looking to butter some of that bread. And Archers are just shooting in against whatever they can hit, really. And yeah, I'm using the Star of Avalorn over here to really top myself off. You can see Warzog's, he's prodding. He's looking for the goods right now, which is a little bit scary. So the Pigeon is going to be doing a flyby. I think I used some bombs right here, or maybe I try them on the Black Orcs. So let's actually see how this goes. So first bomb's coming in, and yeah, not the best. I mean, it does a little bit of damage, but you should definitely use that against lightly armored targets. But the Archers are now going to be shooting against the Savage Orc Airboys, and Archers are by far one of the best units on the High Elf roster. They're just cheap, they have good range, good damage output, and give you some good utility against like the Rescuers and these missile forces of the Greenskins. But the Spearmen are going to be engaging in the Gulch, and I actually pulled them back a little bit, trying to pull the Greenskins up and just get them a little bit closer to my White Lions. The other Spearmen are going to be charging as well, and the battles on the flank should go well. White Lions will definitely beat down Night Goblins, and here we have a pretty good ambush. So I was expecting a flank right here, so I hit these Reavers in the forest. They're going to get a nice charge here on these Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Should be able to polish those guys off relatively quickly. Now the mainline fighting is underway. The White Lions here are going to be fighting the Night Goblins. They've already taken out 10 of these bad boys, and they should be able to beat them without taking too many losses. Spearmen in the middle are in a bit of a dangerous situation. Taking the full brunt of these angry Black Orcs is not going to be good for them, and you can see they're going down pretty damn quick. White Lions here, though, putting a bit of a dent in these Black Orcs. They do get the downhill charge, plus with this Earthblood right here, they're going to be very, very powerful here, for their cost. That's the thing about White Lions. If they don't take a ton of burst damage, they can actually generate a ton of value. In the back, we do also get the Reavers. They're able to take out the Morgul's Mangy Marauders and corner those guys. And the Frostheart Pigeon, I'm just trying to take out Warzog, but Warzog's pretty slippery on his little Baconator. And this is why Forest Goblin Spider Riders are so good. They're mobile, they have the poison, and they have relatively good mass, so I actually can't escape right now. So this was a little bit scary. I was like, oh man, am I going to lose my Pigeon this early? But I do have the Reavers over here. So the Reavers are going to be charging in, which is going to be great. It's going to help the Pigeon win, potentially get a terror route here. Let's look at the main line. So the main line fight is underway. And now that my Spearmen and the other troops have really taken that initial beating, I'm going to be charging in with the Swordmasters of Hoeth, who should be able to do some really good work against these Black Orcs, who are a little bit beleaguered now, right? They're tired, they've been fighting spears, they've been fighting White Lions, and finally they're a little bit buttered up. So from here, these Swordmasters should be able to make relatively quick work. So looking at this position and realizing there weren't going to be any serious threats in the back line, yes, the Black Orcs and these other troops are going to eventually get through the front line, but I realized it wasn't like, there weren't skirmishers or other units in the back line. I take my Silver Helms and I use them on the flank. So the Silver Helms are going to be charging down the pipe, getting a rear charge into these Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and they're just going to Shrek these guys so hard. So the Spider Riders definitely not happy about that. Silver Helms have a nice little charge bonus. They're able to break those guys, and now this is going to open up the floodgates, because I can take these guys and just flow down the entire formation here, and this is going to do so much damage. So the little goblins who are being held up by the White Lions, and they're almost dead already, but these are the unbreakable ones. They're going to be able to hold pretty much indefinitely. Swordmasters here are doing some pretty good work, but another missile attack coming down, and that Goblin does so much damage, and then Warzog comes in with another missile attack, doing huge damage to the Pigeon Queen. She's wavering, and she's probably going to break off the battlefield. Thankfully, I was able to free up my Flamespower Phoenix right here with the Reaver, so I was happy about that. I broke these guys. I think I actually terror routed them. But nonetheless, pretty scary missile attacks here. One more is definitely going to finish off Alariel. So as far as the bounce of power goes, it's relatively even. Yeah, it's pretty much like in the dead center. You can see the Silver Helms and the Reavers are going to be collapsing on the back line. So once I got through this edge of the formation, I felt pretty confident here. So these guys are going to be charging down the hill, working on the Savage Orc Airboys, but that's something that's a little bit scary. Savage Orc Airboys are quite beastly in melee. They have 32 melee attack, 38 weapons rank, and the Reavers are very lightly armored. So I try to get away here, but then he pins me in with the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. A very, very good play here, so I'm going to be losing a lot of those Reavers unnecessarily. In the meantime, the Pigeon in the back is going to be going after Warzog. Always a good idea to take out the Greenskin Lords. Both my opponent and I, Ritus, are trying to take each other's Lords out so hard. In the distance, you can see Alariel does rally, and I'm able to use the healing ability, the Star of Avalorn, to top her off, but a very close battle nonetheless. But in the front line, it's starting to go in the favor of the High Elves. You can see the White Lions here are able to beat down the Goblins. There's only 8 of those guys left. The Swordmasters of Hoeth coming in against the beat-up Black Orcs are able to win that engagement very decisively. And then from here, they're going to be rushing across the battlefield and are going to be getting a huge rear charge into the back of these Black Orcs who are fighting Spearmen. They're fighting White Lions, and this is a pretty catastrophic situation. All these Black Orcs are going to be going down very, very quickly here. So the Swordmaster's charging in there, and if you look in the back, you can see I'm trying to get the Piggy Man, but he's slippery. He's got that Fist of Gork, which gives him some juicy magic damage there, and on top of that, he does have the Savage Orc Airboys and some Forest Goblin Spider Riders. I think those Spider Riders? Yeah, they were helping, but it looks like they left. So the Baconator actually gets terrified. Of course, he's not immune to psychology, but I almost lose my Flamespire Phoenix, so I was not terribly concerned because I knew he does have the Rebirth ability, so he could be coming back up here, and my opponent is going to be pulling in the Biggins from reserve to help out a little bit, but now that the Baconator's broken, we can kind of just circle him like vultures. But it looks like it was just a terror route, so he's going to be coming back. And I didn't want to get my Lord caught with like an FG of the Git on top of these big guns and other groups here. But the Cav Force on the far side, the Silver Helms with shields as well as the Reavers doing a very good job collapsing inwards. You can see the white lines have finally cleaved through all those goblins. The Black Orcs here getting completely crumpled by these High Elf Jedi right here, the Swordmasters of Hoeth. Doing a pretty good job. They probably have a lot of kills, I would imagine. Over here, it's a little bit of a tough fight, but the Silver Helms charging in to help out, and Silver Helms are very good in this matchup. Now, I've seen a lot of people use the Dragon Princes, which I think is pretty good, and the Baconator does die right there, and apparently he got shot with a little bit of friendly fire from the Goblin Shaman, but damn it, I really wanted to show you guys, but yeah, anyways, he got friendly fired a little bit, but regardless, he would have died from Alariel and the Pigeon Queen. There was no way to survive that high mass right there. But what I was going to say, Silver Helms are pretty good in this matchup because they're quite a bit cheaper, right? I think with shields, they cost about 1,000 gold compared to the 1,400 or 1,500 of the Dragon Princes. So from there, you don't have to worry about being isolated as much. FG of the Git is very good against Dragon Princes with Foot of Gork, and from there, they can just force Goblin Spider Riders to pin you in place and really drag you down. So I think going a little bit wider is more effective. Granted, I've seen High Elf players who are far better, than I am at High Elves, doing very well with Dragon Princes. But just my preferred style is just to use Silver Helms. So the High Elf force is doing good. We're actually pushing back the Green Tide. You can see the High Elves rushing up the hill, chasing these Greenskins back to the hills from whence they came. And it looks like they're helping out their Bretonnian friends. I think we're on the Sword of Torvald. Yeah, the Bretonnian map. So they're up there. The Bretonnians up in the hills cheering, I'm sure. But the bounce power are pretty heavily in my favor at this point. It's mostly Savage Orc Airboys and Goblins and a couple other troops. But those missile attacks from those little Goblins are so nasty. And I mean, had he maybe been able to do a little bit more damage and maybe got some missile pressure on Alariel when Alariel, I don't know why that one's hard for me to say, when she first came in, he might have been able to kill her, and that could have been a very different game. But the Arcane and Forging, very good. I don't know if we even saw Wa that game, because I don't think Wurzog was able to get in melee, because remember, the Wa only activates and recharges when someone's fighting in melee. I don't think he was able to get that to get the Wa back up from there, and I was able to kind of pin that down the entire game, which was quite nice. But it was at a great cost, right? I pretty much lost my Lord like twice over. Alariel was out of the battle for most of the battle, like running into the edge of the map and healing and trying to stay away from missile attacks. So there was some give and take. I think it was worth it, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I should have been a little bit more careful with her and let the Wa go off, and maybe just cast it after the first Wa when it was a little bit safer and the missiles were inundated. But even still, I think it worked out okay. The White Lions did a great job. I mean, they can go not toe-to-toe with Black Orcs, and head-to-head they're going to get smashed pretty bad. But you can see how we use the Spearmen as a bit of a blocker. We use them in the front line. The Spearmen have a ton of HP, a high model count. They took that beating like champs. And then from there, the White Lions start to chip away, and it looks like they even got a couple chevrons from their damage output, which is very good. And the Swordmasters were able to really shine. We just found a group of Black Orcs that was at like 50%. They were beat up. We kind of followed up. We got some good Earthbloods off, and we were able to really pound through the front line. But the name of the game, I think, was the Cav. The Reaver's coming in the back, killing his Skirmisher Cav, the Morgub's Magi Marauders, getting in, just causing a lot of problems. And on top of that, the Silver Helms were able to collapse the flanks and then just go inwards and crush the Archer formations, which I think was pretty powerful. But yeah, it was a very close game, honestly. It came down to a couple moments in which like either of our Lords could have died quite a bit earlier. I was able to get some dives with my Pigeons, with the Flamespire Phoenix and Alariel that, Wurzog was able to slip away. And I also survived a couple missile attacks, which, I was like 100, 150 HP or something. It was incredibly low. So had there been just a couple arrows from any of these guys that had gotten into my Lord, game could have gone another direction. Granted, I might have been able to pull it out with the Pigeon and my infantry, which were doing very, very well. But even still, it would have been a tough game. So as far as the Greenskin army goes, it was solid. Like I said, just a couple little things that the game came down to, and yeah, it was fun. I would probably just substitute the Savage Orc Airboys out for Zabresti Airs. I think that would be a pretty good choice, because I think the Armor Sundering is very, very powerful against the High Elves who have armored Silver Helms. Their Lords sometimes are fairly armored if they go with like Turin, things like that. Hard to say. So very well played to my opponent, Ritus. We've been playing quite a few games, and there are a lot of good games in store for you guys, so very well played to him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this High Elf first Greenskin game, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.